So for prelims, only the names of the missions that have been launched recently by the international space institutions, they should be learned. But coming to the mains aspect, I used the ISRO website very extensively. They have beautiful timelines, and I noted down the major points of the missions from there. So that is really helpful if we take it directly from the horse's mouth. So that is what I did for the space mission. And other than that, I also added to my space notes something like alternatives or some models that have been practiced, like some private agency with a public space agency. There some unique model that they have followed. So I added that to the alternatives and the suggestion to be written in my conclusion, because the conclusion can remain the same irrespective of which space question is asked. Because in the conclusion, I used to add a case study or a unique model which can also be emulated, considering India's strength in the space sector.
Shubhamji, since you said that your geography is very dear to you, there was a question on the food processing industries. Like, I think it was on the challenges or I think opportunities, I'm not sure. But there was a question in paper 3 related to food processing industries. So if a student prepare maps or the location wise, like these are the states where the food processing industries can do, or these are the opportunities where the government should invest more, or people's participation should be there. So does it help, you think, about in these questions? Because you say, you just said that geography is you have some close relationship with that. So I think geographers are very keen in drawing maps. So have you utilized the energy or the knowledge of map in those kind of questions related to food processing also?
Sir, I certainly think I would have used maps in such questions. For example, this question was related to Northwest India, but it could have been to any place, and we could have answered it using a regional perspective. For example, in this question, I would have drawn maps of Aravalli and such places to show what kind of food processing would thrive in this area. For in Northern Plains, I could have drawn a maps of Ganga, shown Oxbow lakes and the meandering to show how fishes could be reared in these places. And it could be done for similarly for Andaman and Nicobar Islands. I would have talked about the highlands and the plains, the type of evergreen forest. So I would have definitely sprinkled geography here and there using maps.
Now coming to paper 4, which is a very potential paper, I think. Like last year, I think Shushti scored 124 or 25 something. And then ethics, generally students find or they struggle in scoring good marks. Especially this case studies, they find it like what to, because they put you in a real life situation and then you have to chart out everything possible of your mind, what you can think of. So what can be the strategy for dealing with the case studies? Because there are a big chunk of your paper, I think 120 marks or 30 marks, they are allotting it to case studies only. And generally students do not prepare for case studies specifically. They think, okay, I have certain knowledge and I'll capitalize those knowledge in case studies. So what worked in your favor while dealing with the case studies?
So with respect to the case studies, firstly, I relied on newspapers. So we have various incidents and their approaches to it. For example, if we just talk about the COVID pandemic, then the steps that have been taken, the model districts, we can apply that not just for COVID, say for any other health outbreak which occurs, be it typhoid, cholera. So the basic approach remains the same. So I used to make sure that I make notes from that. Secondly, having a chronology, and that comes from practice of the case studies. So I practiced a few case studies online, and I made the correct take a couple of seconds. One should not jump to the case studies, although they are lengthy. But I would suggest taking a couple of seconds, having a mental mind map, so that you write all the points in the chronological order. Thirdly, what I did was that I like to sprinkle my ethics paper, not with the usual examples, but with very unique examples and their models. For this, I referred to Niti Aayog's, there is a beautiful compendium of the case studies across the states and union territories of India. The PDF is available on Niti Aayog website. Secondly, I also followed other websites like the Better India. So the Better India captures the unique models that have been going on around the country, be it the women or children education, what one has done. So I used these online sources extensively for ethics and tried to make my answers a bit different. with respect to the examples which are usually cited in the exam.
How you performed or you wrote for case studies, Shubhamji?
Sir, I did in a similar manner. I first of all tried to follow a uniform approach as to how to explain the case and the stakeholders in a very limited space, and then have a mental map as to what would be the chronology in which we would be taking different steps for preparation. In both my mains, I also attempted around 60-70 case studies beforehand, so that I was well versed with the idea. Even though UPSC has been throwing up new case studies every single time, both in 2017, 2019. So, but approach should be same. We should have a lot of options at our disposal. We should at least show that we can critically think. This is the approach.